Meta information interpretation. What is that?
For now, all of the audio and image files are being imported with metadata, and it's taking a lot of time and most of the time is being spent on interpreting things like dates to date objects and quantities into quantity objects and so forth. We would like to be able to, first of all, turn that interpretation off, but still be able to get raw metadata back, or be able to specify our own, the user, his own interpretation function to go from dates to whatever they want and things like that. Just get the year, just get all of it, get a date object, time object, and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think this is a hacky way to do that, if I might say so. I mean, it's let me think about that for a second. I mean, this is basically, it's an import element, right?
No, it's an import option.
Yeah, but meta information is not an import option. Meta information is an import element.
Element, yes.
Right. This is trying to bank switch what would otherwise be, you're saying there are a bunch of elements which have, it's like in that discussion we just had about network packet capture. I'm sorry, you weren't in it. It was about WARC files, web archive files.
Mm-hmm.
There are raw cases and there are non-raw cases.
Mm-hmm.
And we were distinguishing those by names given for the import elements. So
okay.
In this case, I mean, what would be an example of something where we import with meta information?
Get the example data coneflower.jpg in. So import example data, the string one.
Yeah. What am I doing?
Example data, a string example data / coneflower.
Lowercase cornflower or uppercase?
Lowercase, all. Coneflower?
Oh. I thought they were cornflowers. Are you sure?
I think so.
Well, you're right.
And if you ask for options of that,
I think that's wrong. I think that's a cornflower.
Yeah, I never fact checked that.
Well, let's figure it out.
Okay.
It's going to say it's a potato or something. Oh, I'm wrong. You're right. We're all good.
You're right.
Isn't it amazing that we can actually do this and have it work?
Very good, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, go ahead. You're saying with this import.
Now ask for options of that image. And see most of the things that are interpreted: quantities, exposure time 1/65 of a second, date times, exposure values.
Look, what you're proposing is a hack. Why not have this be lazy? If the options if you could somehow make options of this image object be lazy, then we could solve this problem. Does that make sense?
Not quite. What if I import it into the notebook? So at save time, at least it has to be imported, right? And then what if between
No, but I mean by lazy, I don't mean that the import hasn't happened. I mean the interpretation hasn't happened. If in the internal form there was a non-interpreted, if in the internal form of image, you could have non-interpreted options, non-interpreted meta information, but when you explicitly ask for options, it goes ahead and interprets them.
I'm not sure. What if I overwrite one of them?
By set options. Well, then you have to deal with that case. I mean,
but do you still? How would we know if it's something that explicitly a user had put in, and they don't want it to be reinterpreted again, or it's something directly from the file and we have to interpret it now?
No, well, I'm saying that you would have to have. I mean, this is an internal implementation thing with caching and so on. I mean, this is slightly non-trivial, but I just don't think we should expose to the user this question of the fact that this week these things are a little bit slow, Because the fact is, I don't even know why they're slow. Like some of these things, it might be that we need interpreter caching. Some of them are, you know, like these dates. Aren't they structured dates? Are they being imported as structured dates?
For image objects, for image files, they are. For some of the audio file formats we're looking into, they're not.
Because they're too wild and woolly?
Yes.
Maybe we need a different structured data interpreter that covers those kinds of things. I'm simply not convinced about this. I don't think it's right. I think we should figure out how to get the implementation to work rather than try and hack around it.
Okay. But the other thing that we have done, say for JPEG and TIFF, is that we have previous versions, I think 11.1 maybe, we introduced EXIF as well as raw EXIF. Yes. So for some of these classes, we have raw versions. That one you're fine with still having so that we can import interpreted or raw versions?
Sure.
Of metadata? Okay.
If you explicitly want raw EXIF, all good.
Okay.
My objection is to this thing, which is basically, you know, I don't even know what it returns here. It returns something with strings in it, which you can't really use.
Strings or integers or real numbers, but nothing.
Okay, but fine. But I mean, you know, there's no harm in saying raw meta information and returning that.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that the default case should not be switchable like that. It should simply, you know, just do the right thing internally.
Okay. In fact, we are going to add meta information as a general option to all of the file formats, or, you know, we're gradually going to implement it. But whatever file format that has meta information, we're going to have a standard meta information element for it. And maybe a raw meta information.
That would be fine. Yeah, right. For the ones where there's a, all right, RLE for run length encoding.
The code that we got from Ed is fairly limited. It's slow for larger files. It also doesn't support color mapped RLEs.
Okay.
And third, we had a little bit of problem with export, but I think we're going to, that's not going to be a big issue. I'm fine putting the version we have now, but we don't have a whole lot of time, you know, writing that converter for 11.3.
Just put in what we have and make it experimental, I think.
Okay. Have we made any file formats experimental? We just...
You can. I think you just tag the file.
Yeah, okay.
I should run here. Okay. I'm looking at the other things here. Embedded thumbnail import element. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh my gosh. Bioformats link.
That we put it on GitHub.
But are we going to have those formats in the system?
No, we had licensing issue with the library.
Okay.
GPL.
Okay. Are we going to have stub pages for them in any way?
Oh, we could, I think, right? We can just link to the GitHub repo for from all of those and say.
I guess so. I mean, but unless so long as we can give a way to import the things. I mean, once we have external object specifications, we could just make those things, you know, have some kind of Packlet download thing that has them work if ever they're used, pulling them from GitHub.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think we're going to need one more iteration here because we've got to talk about spectrograms and we've got to talk a little bit more about the speech synthesis anyway. So we'll need another iteration. So but we should wrap here. So very good. All right, I'll see you. I have no idea whether I might even see you in another meeting today. Otherwise, have a fine Thanksgiving.
All right, thanks. You too. Bye.
Okay, see you. Bye.